welcome back to Matt's Math and More math class. We're moving on with our division lessons, and today we are on lesson 5-4. Our homework deals not only with the concept of double-digit division, which we've covered in some previous videos, so if you're having trouble with the division part of it, pop on down back to like 5-1, 5-2. Those help you understand the concept of division. Today what we're going to talk about is remainders. What on earth do you do with these remainders? Because these questions today ask you a couple different questions, a couple different variations on remainders. Do you leave the remainder? Do you just keep the whole number only? Do you round up? Do you use a mixed number? Do you use a decimal? Do you use a remainder only? Holy cow, that's a lot of questions. So I'm going to give you a quick mini lesson on what we did in class today. Show you kind of how I talk to the students about remainders and their importance. And then hopefully that'll help you understand how to proceed with the homework. So here we go, quick lowdown on math class today. Let's see, let's get our camera situated and go down here. So obviously we're going to be talking about some word problems on the math homework. You got to figure out what is this word problem asking you to do. First of all, you have to understand with remainders there's a number of different things you could do. You could just forget about the remainder, kind of like drop it, get rid of it, pretend it doesn't exist, like it's not important. We talked about that in class today with like ribbons. Like if you're cutting up, if you have X amount of fabric for a ribbon and you're making bows for a craft, and there's this many ribbon and there's a little bit of leftover ribbon, that would be the remainder. You would pretty much just toss it out. You can't make another bow out of it, so that would be an example of what you do with that remainder. We also talked about like bumping up. In this case we talked about like a school bus. Like if I was ordering school buses for the 5th grade field trip and I have this many kids per bus, and so that would be 2 full buses, and then for some reason I've got like 4 kids left over. This bus is full, this bus is full, and I've got 4 kids left over. Well, I wouldn't like drop those kids and not bring them at all. I wouldn't shove them into the bus. That'd be illegal. I'd get in trouble, probably lose my job as a teacher. But what I'd have to do is order an extra bus. So sometimes, depending on what the problem's asking you, you got to kind of bump up. So this remainder would be a bumping up style. And yet another way you might look at a remainder we talked about with money. So I'll do this one in green. This one you'd kind of keep the remainder but change it up a little bit. Let's say I won the lottery and I'm splitting it equally with everybody and there's some money left over. I wouldn't like throw out the money that's left over. I can't bump it up and order some more money, although that would be nice. So what I'd have to do is I'd have to break it up into like a decimal. I'd give everybody like half of a dollar or 75 cents or something like that. So the remainder would become a decimal. And lastly, along the same concept, it could be like you're thinking about a pizza party. Like I'm giving pizza to everybody in the classroom and there's 4 slices left over. Would I throw the slices out in the trash? Nah. Would I bump it up and all of a sudden have more pizza and give everybody? No, I can't do that. But I could break it up into a fraction, like give everybody an extra half a slice. And the pizza, I could think about a decimal or a fraction. So it just depends on the type of word problem you're looking at. And actually what we came up with is we kind of made a connection between theme, and that would be in reading class. Like when you read a story, it's not going to tell you the theme of the story. It's not going to tell you, like, after you're done with the story, it's not going to have a sentence saying, and the moral of the story was treat others the way you'd like to be treated yourself. That's kind of what you have to understand. You got to figure out that theme from reading the story, using your context clues, and then figuring out what's the meaning, the theme. Same thing in math word problems. It's a situation. And after reading the word problem, you have to figure out, okay, what's the theme of this word problem? What's the situation? And that situation, they're not going to just come out and tell you, just like in a story, they're not going to come out and tell you that treat others the way you'd like to be treated. They're not going to tell you you bump the remainder up or let the remainder go. You're going to have to figure out from the situation what they want you to do with the remainder. So let's take a look at some situations. Okay, here's tonight's homework. So tonight's homework is going to consist of a couple parts. One, obviously reading the word problem. Two, highlighting the important part of the word problem. Three, figuring out what you're going to actually do with the remainder. And four, go ahead and do the math and give an answer. Let's do number one together. Then you're responsible for the rest of them on your own. So number one, a Ferris wheel holds 48 people. There are 823 people with tickets to ride the Ferris wheel. How many times will the Ferris wheel need to run to give everyone a ride? So we got to figure out how many times will it need to run to give everybody a ride. So in this case, we want to include everyone. So they're telling us, in other words, there's going to be a remainder. When you divide 823 divided by 48, there's going to be a remainder. It's not going to end in like 12 and in 15. It's going to be like 15 remainder 4. I'm making this up, but I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so you have to think about this theme, this situation. Everyone needs a ride. If everyone needs a ride, am I going to throw away the remainder so the extra people that bought tickets don't get a ride? No. Am I going to bump it up and come up with more people for it? That doesn't even make sense. No. I'm going to have to, oh no, actually I said this wrong. This one I'm going to have to bump up. I can't leave people out. I have to do an extra ride, but the ride will have less people in it. That makes sense. This one doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't chop the people up and do half a ride. So I can't get rid of people. I can't chop people up. What I'm going to have to do is make an extra ride. That's what makes sense. So on this one, with the remainder, since I want to give everyone a ride, am I going to use just the whole number? No. I'm going to have to round up. I don't want a mixed number or a decimal or a remainder. That would be goofy because I'm dealing with people. When I deal with people, you normally have to round up. Or no, I said I was only going to do number one. Let's look at number two also. Bananas cost 89 cents each at the fruit stand. Isabel has $11.75. How many can she buy? So what they're telling us now, we're going to do $11.75 divided by 89, and you're going to have a remainder. That means you got a little bit of money left over. Now, you're buying bananas. So in this case, are we going to use the whole number? Probably. Let's think about that. Are we going to round up? Like, I'm going to take my change and automatically have more change? And that, no, I can't do that. A mixed number. Am I going to divide my change up or decimal divided only? No. My change, I can't do anything. The remainder is a change. Really, the only thing to do is just use the whole number. So if the answer turns out to be like 8 remainder 5, like 8 bananas, and I got 50 cents left over, that means you can buy 8 bananas. That's the answer. It's not 8 remainder 50. So that's what you're going to be doing tonight for homework. First, find out what the real question is. Figure out what you're supposed to do. I don't think anybody should miss that part of questions 1 or 2 because I did it for you. And then go ahead on a separate sheet of paper, do your division, and put down the correct answer right here. Sometimes it will include the remainder. Sometimes it will just be the whole number. Sometimes you'll be rounding up. Sometimes it'll be a decimal. Sometimes it'll be a mixed number or a fraction. Just depends on your situation.